Hi guys, and welcome to another video. In today's video we're going to be taking a look at this. So this is the Polaroid OneStep Plus. It's a camera that I bought for Claire for Christmas, and we took it out for a walk the other day, so I thought we'd shoot a video and we'd have a bit of a first impressions talk about it. So Claire has a few different Polaroid cameras, so we've actually shot a couple different films recently in a couple different cameras. So the two types of film that we previously shot are Polaroid 600, which is what most Polaroid cameras shoot, which has an ISO of 640, and also SX70 film, which is generally used in much older Polaroid cameras and only has an ISO of 160. Now with both of those two, the film when you buy it, it comes in like a cartridge, and inside that cartridge is also a battery. So the battery in them cartridges powers the Polaroid cameras. The Polaroid cameras themselves don't have any internal battery at all. Now this is where the new OneStep is a little bit different. So it uses something called I-type film, which is basically Polaroid 600, but it doesn't include the battery, and the battery is actually inside the camera itself. Now the good thing for this is it means the film is cheaper. So the other two films are about £18, whereas this I-type film is about £15 here in the UK. So this was our first time out shooting with the camera, and we decided to go for a walk at a place near Winchester called St Catherine's Hill, and it can be found here on a map. It's a small hilly area just on the outskirts of Winchester, and you have really good views of the town. You can see things like the cathedral from up there. We were there on quite a dull day and it was pretty cold, so we decided to actually try out some black and white film, something that we hadn't tried out previously at all. Now one of the big selling points with these cameras is the fact that they come with Bluetooth connectivity, and they can connect to your phone via an app. And that app enables you to do quite a few different things, such as remote, so you can fire the camera using your phone. There's a self-timer mode, there's a portrait mode, which helps you gauge distances. There's a double exposure mode, which we tried out quite a lot in this video. You can also do some light painting, so if you've got a nice dark scene, you can use your phone as a light to get kind of like nice light streaks. There's a noise trigger, so you can set a volume that you want the camera to trigger at, so you could shout at your camera to get it to fire. And there's also a manual mode, so you can go in and change your aperture and shutter speed. And also there shows you an exposure compensation dial, so you can know how bright or dark your image is going to be based on the meter inside the camera. So the two modes that we've used quite a lot are double exposure. So double exposure is really easy. You basically just point the camera where you want to take the photo, press the button on the app, it takes the first photo without ejecting the film, then you point it at the second frame, press the button again, and this time it will take the exposure and fire out the film. So this is something you've not really been able to do on other cameras very easily, and it's something that we've really enjoyed trying out. Also, manual mode is something that's interested me personally. Now, I find that with a lot of the Polaroids we've tried, it tends to sway towards underexposure with images, and they tend to come out quite muddy and dark sometimes. So having manual settings in there enable you to expose a little bit too bright. Now on the front of the camera there is a little slider that has a plus and a minus on it, and you can use this to under and overexpose. But the problem with this is it will only let you do it by half a stop. So when you put it to the minus, it's going to make your image half a stop darker, and if you put it to the plus, it's going to make your image half a stop brighter. And I often find that using half a stop brighter just still isn't bright enough. So being able to use the manual settings in the app and seeing your exposure for yourself, we found that we've got some really quite good images doing it this way. So in terms of the black and white film, what are my thoughts on that? So personally to me, I feel like shooting Polaroids, part of the magic is in shooting colour and the colours that Polaroids produce, and I feel like you lose a little bit of that Polaroid magic shooting black and white. The images come out quite contrasty, which is quite nice. I feel like if you nail the exposure, the images do look quite good. However, this pack did have a lot of what I would call, I guess, technical issues with the film itself. You can see that things aren't as they should be. Now, this might to you feel like character, or it might be a pain in the arse. Now, personally to me, I feel like it adds a little bit of character and actually quite like it, but if you're looking for sort of technical perfection in your images, it might grate on you a little bit. We only shot one pack of film though, so who knows, it could be the pack we shot. So personally going forward, I think I'd continue to sway towards shooting colour film, as I just think that's where the sort of magic of Polaroids comes out. So what's the competition for Polaroid? So there's actually a couple cameras out there, and one of the most popular ones is the Instax series. So Fuji do an Instax Mini, and this is what one of those images looks like next to a Polaroid. Now, without stating the obvious, you'll see that the Polaroid image is an awful lot bigger, but if you have a look at the Instax image, it's better in pretty much every way, technically. So if you have a look, they're actually sharper, they generally expose better, I feel like they have a bit more dynamic range, and they probably have more true to life colors as well. And they're also quite a lot cheaper to shoot too. There is also a larger version of the Instax cameras. I've never tried them, but from what I've seen online, they are basically just the small cameras but bigger. You can expect the same sort of results. So based off of that, you'd think I'd recommend that you go for the Instax, as they're just better all round and they're cheaper to shoot. But now this is where I think that you have to ask yourself an important question, and that is, what do you want from your instant photography? If you're looking for sharp and clinical and sort of true to life colors with good exposure, then definitely go for the Fuji. But if you're looking to have a bit of fun with your instant photography, then I'd consider the Polaroid. The colors to me are a lot more pleasing and they're a bit of fun. There's quite a few quirkiness to the images like we saw earlier, there's some technical imperfections, but to me it adds an awful lot of character. And I would pick the Polaroid camera over the Fuji camera every single time. With my instant photography, I'm not looking for that clinical perfection, I'm honestly just looking for the character and the fun to shoot them. And they add that sort of like vintage vibe to them in their colours and just the way they come out. And in terms of the camera, the OneStep compared to the other Polaroids we've shot, I actually really liked it. To me, it's still kind of got that sort of vintage look to it. It definitely looks and feels like a Polaroid, but having that app there to back you up, it really does help you get the best out of the camera, and the double exposures have been so much fun. And playing around with the manual mode just means when you really do want to get that photo right, you can just go into the settings and get it how you want it. There's an awful lot more settings in there that we haven't played with that I'm sure we'll play with over time. And I feel like having that Bluetooth connectivity, it doesn't take away from that sort of fun retro feel, it just really does add to the sort of creative element to it. And I've really enjoyed using it. And given the choice, I'd probably actually take the new camera over the older ones, although some of the older ones do look really cool and that might sway me a little bit, but from a daily shooting point of view, I'd definitely go with a new one. That's all for this video. If you've enjoyed watching, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you've enjoyed the images in this video, please follow me along on Instagram. We quite often post our Polaroid shots on there too. If you've got any questions about the camera, or if you've got some experience shooting Polaroids, I'd love to hear about it down in the comments, and I'll get back to you as quick as I can. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.